Speaking about producers and other artists, man, right now a lot of artists are picking their beats and stuff off of YouTube. So I just like to get your take on YouTube beats and the type beats on YouTube. Man. Do you use them? Do you dislike them? Do you like them? How you feel about them?
Any of my homies know, I hope that like, I don't know if they said this in any of their interviews, but they know I hate those shits. Oh my god. Ever since like in high school, I never ever wanted to touch those beats. I felt like, one, they never really fit the artist that they tried to like a J. Cole type beat. Like, you can't make a beat like J. Cole. You can't make a beat like Kendrick, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that they're going for like a certain feel, but like, anytime I sit down, I try to think of how would I approach this. I feel like ever trying to step into someone else's shoes, even someone that I admire, I feel like that it's too hard for me. It's not something that I can do because their process isn't the same, their inspirations aren't the same. Even some of the stuff that they say isn't the same. So like when it comes to those types of beats, I usually find them to be very limiting because like they're not really doing anything different. They're just, it's either a loop or like an instrumental that a lot of times, like, I've heard so much rap at this point that like I can pick out samples, so I'm just like, I've heard that sample somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not anything like new or like challenging to me. Yeah. So I try to stay away from YouTube when it comes to beats as much as possible.
Okay. Do you produce at all?
No, I've been trying. At this point, I don't have the patience for it. I keep being told by like my production inclined friends that like if I ever decided to do it, that it would be insane, and I agree, but like I just don't have the energy or the time for it. But now that I've been like doing it a lot more, what the fuck is that?
Love that.
Now that I've begun to work with JK and stuff, I'm starting to see where like I can kind of like find like a good middle ground for like me to start. So hopefully within the next couple, I don't even want to say years, maybe months, I'm definitely going to sit down and try my hand at it again. So
for sure. So let's touch on some of your most recent work that you've released. Just name a few projects that you've released, a few singles or anything that you've released, as well as letting the people know where they can reach your music. Where can they purchase and support your music, man?
Hey, so I just dropped KillYourDoubt.zip a few months ago. That was definitely one of my least favorite projects to do because I had so many different ideas for it, but they didn't really pan out the way that I wanted them to. But it's not something that I'm necessarily ashamed of. It was just one of those things where I feel like I had to get it out in order to figure out where I wanted to like be rap wise. Because before that point, I had dropped. Damn, how can I not remember my own stuff?
That just mean you out working.
Yeah, man, I'm doing a lot.
That just mean you working.
But the first tape that I dropped, I've done like at least 5 or 6 projects ever since I've been in college, and the last one I did before Kill Your Doubt, it was definitely planned out very well. I liked it. It was a double release, and it kind of like gave me a bunch of ideas to start with, and I tried to like do more with Kill Your Doubt, and I like it. Kill Your Doubt I specifically released with all of the mistakes that I made during the recording of the songs in it, in order to like kind of give the audience a feel for like what it was that I was trying to do and how imperfect it was. So with that, hopefully going into the next project I'll have more cemented ideas. I did just drop Midnight Flights to Odessa on my SoundCloud, which you can find. It's Hassan El Hobo at SoundCloud.com.
I'll make sure they gonna have a name and everything.
Nice.
Social media to post.
Nice. I also have a Bandcamp, same name, and that's where anyone can go to find my stuff. I also set up a website called whatahumbleduke.com where I have both my music and my film stuff up, as most people probably didn't know. I have hands in like multiple different types of artistry, and I'm trying to get my film stuff to where I am rap wise. So I'm trying to get everything to coalesce in a very like natural way. But Yeah, Kill Your Doubt was the last thing that I put out. Definitely one of my least favorite projects. I listened to it and I'm like, damn, like there's like certain aspects where you can hear people closing doors during the recording process. I flubbed some words and whatnot, but I felt like it was important for people to see that, like, you know, like for all the praise and stuff that I get for being like at such a high level that I hold myself to when it comes to rap, I think it's important to see that like it's not perfect, and I struggle with, you know, like, are people gonna like this? Do I like this enough to keep it? Like, you know, so I decided to keep everything, mistakes and all, so people could see like the whole of what it was that I'm trying to do.
Real raw and cut, man.
Definitely.
Sure. So 2018, man. Do you have anything that you can give to the fans or talk about that you're releasing this year? Music-wise.
Yes, definitely. I'm working on a project right now. Right now, the tentative name is We Marry Band, and I'm working on that with JK. It's gonna be exclusively us, I think, save for like one beat. But I'm definitely trying to like put something together that kind of like explores the idea of like cult mentality in general, just like the occult, cults, like cults of personality, cult followings. Things like that, and I think it's very interesting to see like what is it that makes certain people so like attracted to others, you know, people that we never know, people that like we never see, we never actually interact with. What is it that makes other human beings with subjective experiences that sometimes mirror ours and sometimes don't, what is it that draws us all together, whether it be through music, art, just, you know, any other thing, you know, because I personally have never been, even though I have my favorite people that I go to and stuff, like I've never actually wanted to be anyone else. I hate following people. I hate the idea of being in anyone else's shoes. Anyone can tell you I hate the idea of me being a role model. If someone were to tell me that like they want to be like me when they grow up, or they want to like do the same type of music that I do, I don't like it. I want you to be better. I want you to do something different. I think all voices are necessary. So like it's always been interesting to me to see like what is it that draws people so close to others that they're willing to follow them without any type of I guess thought about, you know, what is the whole aspect of a person. Because I think everybody, just outside of duality, like we just all have things that like are considered good, things that are considered bad, and, you know, things that are neutral. So like I'd like to try and figure out through music and, you know, film, what is it that draws us all together.
Sure. So I didn't know that you actually do film, so I want to dig into that a little bit, man. When did you get started doing film?
I actually got started when I got here at college. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go into music as a major because like I did band and stuff all throughout high school and middle school, and I was like kind of done with it. And I think the rigidity of classroom instruction definitely was not for me when it came to music. I feel the same way about film now that I've like almost reached the end of like my college career with it, but I feel like it was necessary in order to figure out how to break the rules. When it came to rap, I figured out what the rules were for myself, and I learned how to break them. So I think with film, I don't think there was anything wrong with the fact that like I had instructors and stuff to teach me the ropes before I decided to break them. But I got into it honestly because it was the only major that only required one class that had math in it, and I hate math. So I was like, you know what, this is the one for me. And it definitely opened up a lot of different doors. Even now, like, I'm not ashamed to say I wish I had like done communication, which was my minor. I wish I had done that a lot more. But I feel like visual literacy and like being able to like convey stuff like through just sight and dialogue alone, I think it's very, very closely tied into rap. And I think a lot of my favorite artists, I consider them auteurs. I feel like they're definitely on the same level as like anyone whose movies and stuff that I love. They're people who have figured out how to take the ideas in their head and draw them out in a way where not only people can see what it is that they're thinking clearly, but also they like it. I think it's a very interesting aspect to be able to take something that only you thought of, or something that maybe you came up with by yourself, and make everyone kind of see what it is that you were thinking. And not only that, but I feel like it brings a lot of different perspectives. And personally, I think about my music more so in a way of a visual sense. I don't really think of words that go together. I don't think of things that rhyme. I think of pictures, and I think of different scenes that like I would like to write out personally. So I try to approach a lot of my stuff is scenery. One of my favorite tapes that I've done, I actually labeled it a spec script, which is in the film industry, it's you write something that could be basically, it's kind of like a demo tape for film, and you can write it on something that's already been done, or you can do an original thing, but it's basically like a demo tape, and you shop it around to other things. So like one of my tapes that I did, El Hobotron, I labeled it a spec script. So it was, even though it was purely musical, I didn't really have too many videos and stuff to go along with it. The way that I went about forming the narrative for the whole thing was basically like just scenes. They're all just scenes in my head. So that was really cool.
For sure. Hey, you working motherfucker.
Where do you see your rap career in the next 2 to 5 years, or even your film career?
Well, one of my favorite artists, Milo, he's opened up he has his own label. He's opened up a record store in Maine, and I think he's been one of my favorite inspirations because like he knows he's not one of the norm, and he takes a lot of pride in that, and he definitely has a vision of like piloting, because his label's called Rubaiyat, and like he's trying to pilot his Rubaiyat through the universe. So I eventually would like to, I don't necessarily want to head a label, but I definitely want to own like a multimedia like division of something. I like all types of art, so I definitely want to bring other weirdos underneath my umbrella, and not necessarily like guide them or anything, but at least give them the resources to, yeah, definitely live out their wildest dreams, to do the crazy shit that I want to do. So I guess in 2 to 5 years, I would definitely like to at least have a footing where I don't have to rely on other people to shoot my videos or, record my stuff. Like I definitely want to have everything in-house, because I think DIY has always been like my dream. Like even with me and Jordan, like I remember like the first few recordings I did, we did that like in his room with like a snowball mic and like a bootleg version of like Adobe. So and I think that was like really cool. And I think a lot of my friends are into that. I know Raincloud, like we do everything in-house. Ray makes logos and everything. We have like multiple producers, and we write everything ourselves. We try to keep everything as insular as possible. I think once you get too many hands in the pot that aren't like, they're not there for you, but they're there for the profit, or like like whatever it is that they can get out of it. I think the further and further away from like the original like project or whatever it is, it gets so removed from that, and it gets so commercialized that like I just can't stomach it. If I can't make what I want to make, be it good or bad, then I don't want to do it. So
I definitely feel that, totally. So I know you're in school, man. So I want to know, what is it like for you balancing being an artist, being so hands-on with so much, being in school, balancing relationships, and just being a human? Like, what is it like balancing everything for you right now?
It's incredibly difficult. It's something that I haven't necessarily really mastered, which I think it's fine. I think it's like fun to me, to the fact that I haven't like gotten everything where I want it to be, but I think it's definitely necessary for someone like me that wants to kind of like have their hands in everything, because when I first got here, like I was breezing through core classes, but like I would barely go, I would basically like spend all my time writing, but it kind of grows lonely at that point. So like I kind of have to balance being able to like network and you know, write and go to shows and like print merch or come up with different ideas, work with other people, which is something that like in the beginning, like I didn't have any interest in doing. Like the whole networking aspect and, you know, trying to like submit like shows and stuff with people, it was nothing that I had an idea for. It was nothing that I had a taste for. But I realized more and more that not only is it like necessary, but like it's a good thing, especially since I'm not a very social person. So it's definitely like forced me to get out of my comfort zone and try and figure out like new and inventive ways to like get to where I want to be, especially since like I don't want to do it in like a very commercialized way. I don't want to be a part of the zeitgeist. So a lot of my friends, like Aaron Cooler, he runs the Birdhouse. He's definitely like one of the people that like I look up to. He's getting it out the mud. He's hosting shows in his own house. So I think that's a crazy thing. And all of my other friends, like I don't know anyone that's like connected to like, you know, huge businesses. I don't have anyone who's made like huge breaks or anything. I don't have any connections to people that like know other people or anything. It's usually just me and like my friends, and we, you know, we're just trying to do something cool for, you know, the people that we know. So